Hello, my name is Mark. I'm a librarian at Madison College in Madison, Wisconsin. And at our college, there's a certain class that people read Wisconsin authors and then summarize the book and give a biography of the author. And I decided I was going to read a chapter of a Wisconsin author book every other day and share it. So the first book in this series, assuming I do more than one, assuming that I actually complete one, is a Sand County Almanac and sketches here and there by Alda Leopold. Again, my name is Mark, and this is Coconut here, the puppy dog in my lap, and hopefully this goes okay. So I'm going to start. Starts with a dedication to my Estella. Forward. There are some who can live without wild things, and some who cannot. These essays are the delights and dilemmas of one who cannot. Like winds and sunsets, wild things were taken for granted until progress began to do away with them. Now we face the question whether a still higher standard of living is worth its cost in things natural, wild, and free. For us of the minority, the opportunity to see geese is more important than television, and the chance to find a pasque flower is a right as inalienable as free speech. These wild things, I admit, had little human value until mechanization assured us of a good breakfast, and until science disclosed the drama of where they come from and how they live. The whole conflict thus boils down to a question of degree. We of the minority see a law of diminishing returns in progress. Our opponents do not. One must make shift with things as they are. These essays are my shifts. They are grouped in 3 parts. Part 1 tells what my family sees and does at its weekend refuge from too much modernity, the shack. On this sand farm in Wisconsin, first worn out and then abandoned by our bigger and better society, we tried to rebuild with shovel and axe what we are losing elsewhere. It is here that we seek and still find our meat from God. These shack sketches are arranged seasonally as a Sand County Almanac. Part 2, sketches here and there, recounts some of the episodes in my life that taught me, gradually and sometimes painfully, that the company is out of step. These episodes, scattered over the continent and through 40 years of time, present a fair sample of the issues that bear the collective label conservation. Part 3, the upshot, sets forth in more logical terms some of the ideas whereby we dissenters rationalize our dissent. Only the very sympathetic reader will wish to wrestle with the philosophical questions of Part 3. I suppose it may be said that these essays tell the company how it may get back in step. Conservation is getting nowhere because it is incompatible with our Abrahamic concept of land. We abuse land because we regard it as a commodity belonging to us. When we see land as a community to which we belong, we may begin to use it with love and respect. There is no other way for land to survive the impact of mechanized man, nor for us to reap from it the aesthetic harvest it is capable, under science, of contributing to culture. That land is a community is the basic concept of ecology, but that land is to be loved and respected is an extension of ethics. That land yields a cultural harvest is a fact long known, but latterly often forgotten. These essays attempt to weld these 3 concepts. Such a view of land and people is, of course, subject to the blurs and distortions of personal experience and personal bias, but wherever the truth may lie, this much is crystal clear. Our bigger and better society is now like a hypochondriac, so obsessed with its own economic health as to have lost the capacity to remain healthy. The whole world is so greedy for more bathtubs that it has lost the stability necessary to build them, or even to turn off the tap. Nothing could be more salutary at this stage than a little healthy contempt for a plethora of material blessings. Perhaps such a shift of value can be achieved by reappraising things unnatural, tame, and confined in terms of things natural, wild, and free. Alda Leopold, Madison, Wisconsin. That's where I am. 4th of March, 1948. I'm no good at math, but that was a long time ago. Now we're jumping right into part one, a Sand County Almanac, January. January thaw. Each year after the midwinter blizzards, there comes a night of thaw, when the tinkle of dripping water is heard in the land. It brings strange stirrings, not only to creatures abed for the night, but to some who have been asleep for the winter. The hibernating skunk, curled up in his deep den, uncurls himself and ventures forth to prowl the wet world, dragging his belly in the snow. His track marks one of the earliest datable events in that cycle of beginnings and ceasings which we call a year. The track is likely to display an indifference to mundane affairs uncommon at other seasons. It leads straight across country, as if its maker had hitched his wagon to a star and dropped the reins. I follow, curious to deduce his state of mind and appetite, and destination, if any. The months of the year, from January up to June, are a geometric progression in the abundance of distractions. In January, one may follow a skunk track, or search for bands on the chickadees, or see what young pines the deer have browsed, or what muskrat houses the mink have dug, with only an occasional and mild digression into other doings. January observation can be almost as simple and peaceful as snow, and almost as continuous as cold. There is time not only to see who has done what, but to speculate why. A meadow mouse, startled by my approach, darts damply across the skunk track. Why is he abroad in daylight? Probably because he feels grieved about the thaw. Today his maze of secret tunnels, laboriously chewed through the matted grass under the snow, are tunnels no more, but only paths exposed to public view and ridicule. Indeed, the thawing sun has mocked the basic premises of the microtein economic system. The mouse is a sober citizen who knows that grass grows in order that mice may store it as underground haystacks, and that snow falls in order that mice may build subways from stack to stack. Supply, demand, and transport, all neatly organized. To the mouse, snow means freedom from want and fear. A rough-legged hawk comes sailing over the meadow ahead. Now he stops, hovers like a kingfisher, and then drops like a feathered bomb into the marsh. He does not rise again, so I am sure he has caught and is now eating some worried mouse engineer who could not wait until night to inspect the damage to his well-ordered world. The rough leg has no opinion why grass grows, but he is well aware that snow melts in order that hawks may again catch mice. He came down out of the Arctic in the hope of thaws, for to him a thaw means freedom from want and fear. The skunk track enters the woods and crosses a glade where the rabbits have packed down the snow with their tracks and mottled it with pinkish urinations. Newly exposed oak seedlings have paid for the thaw with their newly barked stems. Tufts of rabbit hair bespeak the year's first battles among the amorous bucks. Further on, I find a bloody spot encircled by a wide, sweeping arc of owl wings. To this rabbit, the thaw brought freedom from want, but also a reckless abandonment of fear. The owl has reminded him that thoughts of spring are no substitute for caution. The skunk track leads on, showing no interest in possible food and no concern over the rompings or retributions of his neighbors. I wonder what he has on his mind. What got him out of bed? Can one impute romantic motives to this corpulent fellow, dragging his ample belt line through the slush? Finally, the track enters a pile of driftwood and does not emerge. I hear the tinkle of dripping water among the logs, and I fancy the skunk hears it too. I turn homeward, still wondering. That's the end of January. I'm only made it 5 pages in. I have to admit I'm a little bored. Maybe it'll pick up during the next reading. But that's all for now. Thanks. This has been Mark and Coconut, and we'll read again in a day or two. Bye.